25. Welcome to the headline news on FlowFM 92.7. The headline news is a summary. The headline analysis, is where you get to debate and comment on any news stories that we brought to you on the headline news at 7. I'm not alone, of course. I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey, and I have my colleagues with me in the studio. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Danielle. How was the weekend for you?
Absolutely wonderful.
And we have in-house analyst Nicholas Uwerunonye. Good morning to you, Nicholas.
Good morning.
Hope you had a great weekend.
Yeah, fantastic weekend.
Wonderful. The views to be expressed is not in any way the position of FlowFM 92.7 or the staff therein, but is expressed by our in-house analyst Nicholas Uwerunonye and any other individuals that call in on the program this morning. Remember, we have a few rules on the program. Please, we do not lean into any logical fallacies, and every news story that you bring in must be from verifiable sources as well. You have a limit of 1 minute to make your comment when you call or text 0807-777-9927 so as to let other people make comments too. Let's go to Anambra.
All right.
We left off there on Friday, so we have updates from Anambra this morning.
All right. The much talked about Anambra election scam. It's gone. And of course, we'll take a look at the outcome of all of the, the activity, what went down in Anambra State. Well, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared Anambra State Governor and incumbent Charles Chukwuma Soludo as the winner of the Anambra State gubernatorial election held on Saturday, November 8, 2025. According to the returning officer and vice chancellor of the University of Benin, Professor Edoho Omorege, while announcing the results, that Soludo polled 42,664 votes, the highest out of a total of 584,054 valid votes collated across the state. According to him, Soludo led over his closest rival, Nicholas Ukachukwu of the All Progressives Congress APC, who garnered 99,445 votes, while Sir Paul Chukwuma of the Nigeria's Young Progressives Party, YPP, had 37,753 votes. Other candidates include the ADC, 8,208 votes, and PDP, 1,401 votes.
Wow. Well, like we rightly predicted, I wasn't expecting anything dramatic. We have said it consistently, on the platform that, Anambra has its peculiarity. It has its peculiarity with ABGA. You understand? It's like a tradition over there. There is this saying, all over the weekend that I was, that when I was speaking to someone, and I'm brilliant. It was Nkai, that is ours. You see that, it has to do with, the tradition, of how ABGA was incubated. Don't forget, it is deeply tied to the late Dim Dumegu Juku. So he went about, propagating the fact that, look, since in most of the general party, all the general big parties, the average candidate has been rejected and things like that. Let's grow our own. Let's have our own kind of party that have a national outlook. And of course, a lot of people subscribe to it out of, loyalty and love for him, So, and again, don't forget that, when a certain governor, governorship candidate, from the PDP could not find a foothold because of the kind of corruption that has ended PDP, right? As, in a matter of, that appears to have undone PDP right now. When it started, sometimes around 2002, that candidate went, was asked to bring certain amount of money, to lubricate the wheels. And the man said no, but he decided on ABGA. And through ABGA, he won, even though, it had to be, his mandate had to be given to him through the courts, And that particular governor, went ahead to distinguish himself as governor, And the man I'm talking about is Peter Obi. So, that 8 years interregnum and the drama that happened, kind of cemented the place of ABGA in the hearts of the average Anambra person. Don't forget that Soludo had attempted, to I think that's 2012 thereabout, the second term of Peter Obi, he attempted to come in through PDP, and he was thoroughly disgraced. So he learned the hard way that you have to go through ABGA before you can emerge as a serious contender in Anambra State politics. So, and don't forget that the advent of the history of PDP in Anambra, is to show where the sitting governor was kidnapped. It's still very much in the memory of the average Anambra person that if you have a party whose apron string is tied to somebody in Abuja that does not understand the history of the place, there is always a fear. So that has always been my thinking. Anytime you have an Anambra State election, what I will simply tell you that 80% is already decided if the candidate is from ABGA. That candidate will have to do something tremendously bad, like the Mbadinuju era, before you throw that kind of a person out. Yes, Soludo hasn't performed, to expectation, given the kind of clout he had, given the kind of experience he had, at the national level. I was expecting something far more dramatic, something far more, endearing. That one can say, yes, this is somebody, that you can rank as a quality governor. I expected something more from him, not the kind of mediocre deliverables that I'm seeing coming from Anambra State. But all the same, like we rightly said, it's going to be ABGA, and that's what has happened. But I think a bit of a surprise package is coming from Ukachukwu, even though it is not surprising. Like I said, that I have that fear that we might have an Okpebolo. And that is what you see, even though he didn't emerge as a winner, but at least the mere fact that that kind of a candidate, could pull that much of weight, and, displacing ABGA and, ADC and even Labour Party, where Peter Obi happens to have campaigned for its candidate, So it tells you that a lot of things have, when it comes to politics, it's not 1 + 1 = 2. And there is also this, thinking that if APC had given that ticket to Valentine Ozigbo, we would have a different ball game. And if we may go a bit into history, Valentine Ozigbo, campaigned and contested against Soludo for the first time, and I think he came second. Yeah, he came second, and he had quite an impressive showing. But then he was in PDP at that time, so from there he moved to the Labour Party. So from Labour Party he went to APC, believing that the ticket was automatically his. But of course, we've always been saying, politics is not 1 + 1. Equals 2. So he was quite disappointed. I think to a very light that could have improved a lot of the APC if you had someone like Valentine Ozigbo. But I think that at the national level the trust was not there.
Let's look at what aside the popularity of ABGA and then the acceptance of ABGA as a party and as a culture, like a tradition, like their own thing in Anambra State. Aside that, will you say that is the fracture between the opposition parties played a major role in cruising Soludo to victory?
Look, Soludo won by a very wide margin.
All the 21 local governments.
All the 21 local governments. So it's not a factor. It's not a factor. So I'm going to put it down to the ABGA factor.
All right, let's if it's not a factor, look at the Labour Party, for example. Okay. The candidates, 2 factions, the Abure faction and then the other faction. The candidates were just busy, going to court, and then, in fact, a resident we said they were ready to vote the Labour Party, but they didn't even know any of the candidates.
Apart from that,
the PDP on its own,
they had to hedge that bet.
The PDP, it was only the guy that bought the form, 40 million naira. It was only him.
Now that is a factor, truly. Because you see, like I said, Anambra people learn from history. They learn from history. Mogalu He's a fantastic candidate.
George Moghalu.
Yeah, George Moghalu. Moghalu has
lost his polling unit.
He lost his polling. Yeah, because there was that, like you rightly said, that factionalization. There was that fear that even if they vote for him, what if through a backyard court ruling, it was then handed to a different candidate that they never voted for? Because you see, the Supreme Court ruling on Amechi, has clearly stated that you vote for the party, that the candidate holds the mandate in trust for the party. So there could be that fear, among Ghanaians, and that was why they were kind of conflicted, because otherwise, apart from, Soludo being the incumbent, I think the most viable, for me, the most viable candidate is Moghalu. Because though he hasn't held any major position, apart from being the Minister of Maritime, and, Blue Economy or something like that, under President Muhammadu Buhari. But politically speaking, the man has been a top-notch operative. So I personally think that, like you said, the conflict on the one hand, the conflict in Labour Party on the one hand, then again, there is that issue that a lot of people have been talking about, and which says a lot about the way the average Igbo man thinks. The loyalty they have to the person that brought Labour Party, Obi, is not transferable. That is another thing, that a lot of people are talking about. And that is that likelihood that, look, whatever they feel for Obi is for Obi. It's just like you have the case of Ojukwu, and you have the case of, the history of the average, they don't transfer. It's not easy for the average woman to, think outside the way, and I think it goes for virtually all of us, really, Once we have a tradition, we stick to it. We rarely change, By nature, humans are conservative, All
right. Let me ask this. There was this statement also by the ADC candidate about how there was a cash and carry policy that happened.
Yeah.
What do you? Yeah.
Yeah. You see, let us give kudos to INEC. For this. I'm going to give kudos to them because structurally, in terms of logistics, everything went perfectly fine. There was no case of ballot box snatching and the rest of them. Where we have issue is the issue of vote buying, and I think, me personally think, it's beyond the ken of INEC. We can't blame INEC for that. You understand? That speaks to the voters themselves. But then again, that vote buying thing, I don't think is that rampant, honestly, if you ask me. Because if in other instances where we've had vote buying, you hear cases of how much was paid. Like you hear that it's 10,000 naira,
20,000, 30,000. Abga, it was alleged that Abga paid 5,000 naira.
That's funny. And no, you said no. I think it's lower than that. It's 1,000 naira, one malt and one gala.
Huh?
Well, what the report I got 5,000.
5,000.
The APC 10,000.
Wow.
The other parties, between 20 and 30, they all took part in it. But here's where we're going.
Yeah.
Let's take a listen to the ADC governorship candidates as they rejected the outcome of that election, saying it was marred with so much irregularities and, of course, some intimidation before the election. And then we'll come back and discuss the OB factor.
Okay.
And then the candidates' performance in this election. And then I will look ahead into 2027. Okay. Take a listen.
Reflect the true position of our people, considering the level of poverty in Anambra State today. Somebody who has not eaten in the last 1 month, seeing 20,000 naira, we jump at it. So I just want to use this opportunity, to call all the parties concerned to make sure that what has happened in Anambra State is stopped for the future of our democracy. Otherwise, we are joking. Because starting from day one, we saw the state intimidating the opposition by asking everybody to pay 50 million naira before you can advertise. Otherwise, you can't put up any billboard. There is ban on oppositions going into the market to campaign. it's only the incumbent governor that goes into the market, does anything. There were prevention of meetings of opposition. So there is a lot that needs to be changed for our democracy to thrive, honestly. But I pity the poor masses, because I believe what happened yesterday is never the will of the people.
All right, you heard him. That was the ADC's candidates in the Anambra election.
Yeah, I think
rejecting the outcome of the election.
Well, no. That is not a strong basis for rejecting the outcome of that election. Let us be clear. Now, if there are intimidations and things like that, I think that the opposition body too ought to be blamed, because if they have been very cohesive, I've spoken with one voice, calling the attention of the president and the international bodies into what was happening in Anambra State, you wouldn't be talking about that. They would have been given permission. If you recall, at those state election, we had something similar, when the billboards of Apata was being torn to shreds and things like that. The man came out openly and said, look, if anybody tries that again in Benin, then it's going to be fire for fire. And that is stopped. So sometimes you say, look, maybe one has to align with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. However unpopular this saying might be, that power is not served a la carte. You don't just sit down, they give you power. You understand? You have to show that you actually want that. But while he is complaining about that, I did see Morgan going to communities and the rest of them, talking to people, engaging a lot of stakeholders. Well, it was all over the places, and again, it tells you of the kind of politics that is prevalent in the South, which is that it is not as sophisticated, as what you see, in the Southwest, even in the North, where you expect, when you talk in terms of, academic capacity, in terms of being obeyingness and the rest of them, they are there. But when it comes to politics, it's purely rudimentary, because I had expected that Anambra State politics would be a front burner in terms of national discourse and things like that. But to my total shock, the chagrin, it's been kind of ordinary. You understand? And that contributed largely to the apathy. What the hell? Whatever we do, this man will matter. So why not take the 10,000 naira and just do whatever, And again, there is still that, it still speaks to that, factor, the apathy of the general Igbo man to politics, and which is greatly undoing the region.
Now look at that.
Yeah.
Over 2.8 million registered voters. 585,000.
Exactly.
Came out for the election.
It is quite strange. And we just ask IPOB to say no outing, and everybody will sit down at home. So that tells you the kind of politics they play, and which is for me, it's not salutary. But if all the complaints we've had over the years that Soludo has been there is anything to go by, I would have expected something much more robust than what we saw over the weekend. All
right. So earlier you mentioned how Obi also, helped is the
George
candidate
Mogalu,
in his election. Why would you say that the fact that Obi played a role in that, in the whole process and everything, and consider the fact that Obi did well as governor, why did they do so badly? So badly.
Like I said the loyalty to Obi. This is my take. A lot of people might not buy it, but the loyalty to Obi is not transferable. And that is the thing about the average woman. It's not about the fact that it's you we know. There is always this song. The moment you become a leader, they say this song, they mention your name, Obi, or Okafo Kaigeso, Monademano, Jonjo, Okafo Kaigeso. That is, whether it's good, whether bad, is this person we are following. So that has always been their mentality about things.
What is the place, where is the place of influence?
Like I said,
in this Obi figure right now,
there is no such thing.
Again, if is that very well accepted at home, popular at home?
Let me tell you something.
To be able to transfer that influence.
Exactly, in a way.
No.
Coming out to the campaign train to campaign for candidates.
To vouch for someone.
Let me be very clear about certain things that I think that people should try and understand. The average Igbo man is Republican. You understand? that is, not too long ago, people say the Igbos are so scattered in terms of politics that they are not unified. But 2023 showed a different picture entirely. And that tells you the kind of person they are. The mere fact that I respect you as a person does not mean that if you direct me to transfer that thing to this way, I will do that. No. It doesn't work that way. See, I know it's very difficult for a lot of people.
But we've seen political figures,
Which political figure, please?
We've seen, I wouldn't want to mention names right now.
No.
Some of them
are they from South? Okay, let's even go down history.
Are we looking at the peculiarity of, the average Eastern politics against the Southern politics, against the Southwest politics?
Well, it's very simple. There's this thing, the fact is there in history. I'll give you a very good example. Don't forget there was an Obasanjo who contested in 1999, and there was Jim Nwobodo, Jos 98, Jos. Don't forget there was apart from Nwobodo, there was Alex Ekweme. Alex Ekweme was the major founder of PDP. In fact, at that point, everybody felt he was going to win the party ticket. But what happened? Obasanjo won. The Eastern delegates even voted for him. You understand? Then into the election proper, Ojukwu was there, the so-called leader that has this ABGA. But PDP won in the Southeast. You understand? And you have it considered even in 2023. So you see, the point I'm trying to make is this. You see, the average woman is fiercely independent. You understand? Yes, a lot of people will say that, that cloud should have transferred to Mogalu. But like I said, it is not automatic with some people. It is not peculiar to Igbos alone. Even the Yorubas, you might be shocked, are like that. They see through no matter how things, are. You understand?
Before we move to another news story, let me ask this question or round off on this conversation. Do you think that this Anambra election pattern would play out in favor of APC in 2027 as well?
That's the thing about 2027. Like we said before we went to this election, that yes, I don't see any difference, and we told you the parameters why it's going to be like that, ABGA factor and the rest of them. At the national level, it's a little bit different. Okay. But you can have certain things that are playing already for APC, and which is one. I told you humans are conservative by nature. Of course, this insecurity issue is weighing a different toga, a different kind of politics, a different kind of, texture, and to a very large extent is going to determine it, how the president handles it. I over the weekend, I was talking to a lot of people, and they said that we are going to start seeing a lot of things that is going to happen that might consolidate the middle belt, south, southeast, and southwest before 2027. So if that happens, for me, I think there will be no need for any candidate to come out and contest against Tinubu because he's going to win. You understand? Yeah. So, but again, we sincerely hope, and this is what I don't pray for. I think they should tone down a little on this, more on this, the rhetorics of ethnic division. And I think that the president men are principally the arrowhead of that problem. The moment they tone down on that, and speak more about Nigeria, than looking at every opportunity to shade, like shade this other person from the other ethnic, this thing, anything. When you talk of insecurity, you put it at the doorsteps of people who have refused to go to school and things like that. Just see it as a failure of governance over the years. You understand? So for me, those are some of the factors that we have to look out for, ahead of 2027. All
right, let's quickly take this comment and we'll move on to another story real quick. Dr. Mrs. Ma Olebara from Owerri. I wonder why some people will see black and call it white. How can any sane person say there is no genocide in this country? There must be accomplices. When it gets to them and their relations, they will understand we all reap what we sow. Thank you. I'm Dr. Mrs. That's a Facebook comment.
All right. 007-777-9927 is number to call to make a comment on the news stories that we've had so far. All right, let's move to another news story. The Ondo State Police Command has rescued 15 young women from a sex trafficking syndicate operating in Alagbaka, Akure, and arrested 3 suspects linked to the crime. Malaika Ayonlade and the victims were aged between 20 and 26, and they were deceived with fake job offers and coerced into producing explicit content disguised as social media relationship videos, as the investigations revealed that the suspects exploited the victims for profit.
Well, I don't know.
It's rampant, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. They said between 20 and these are
20
adults.
and 26.
These are adults. When they said they coerced them into it, that is, I need it spelled out clearly. I need to see the form of coercion, the way they were tricked into opening their clothes before a camera.
All right, Nicholas,
I don't understand.
please hold on. Let's take this call.
Hello, good morning. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. What is your name and where are you calling from, please?
Good morning. My name is Mr. Chooks. How are you doing? How's been your day?
Good morning.
Good
Very well,
morning,
thank you, Mr. Tricks.
Mr. Tricks. Welcome.
I just want to kindly contribute to the gubernatorial election that transpired in Anambra yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
The truth is that if we really want to fix Nigeria, then we must fix ourselves and be real with our actions. The videos on social media between 2 days ago and yesterday is a clear indication that there was an election in Anambra State. I wonder why people are jubilating. I wonder why people are even so mean to open their mouths to say there was an election, there's a result, and there's a winner. That's why people will remain apathetic to politics. It's frustrating. It's not encouraging at all. I mean, is it not better there's no election, there's no ruler, there's no leader? Things have to change. We can't continue to remain blind. This is a country that we seek for development. We can't continue lies, blatant lies. There's no governor in Anambra State, no election. Thank you very much.
Well, your comment, but there is a governor in Anambra State. There was an election conducted on Saturday.
There was a winner.
And there was a winner and declared by
Yeah, I understand where he's coming from.
I as well too.
Yeah, there was no context whatsoever. There was no, but again, you see, rather than even blaming the structures, let us talk about people who just give in so easily. Because we can't, of course, accepting 10,000 naira to vote.
It's not just specular to Anambra.
Oh, we know,
election.
but
we saw what happened in Osun during the election that brought in the incumbents, Ademola Adeleke.
Exactly.
Before that, we saw that of Oyetola and then the Ede, Pali and all of these things. It's a national problem.
It's a national problem.
But again, is it does it boil down to the locals or the average Nigerian? Because if you go to the urban areas, you probably might not find, vote buying that juicy or find anyone to really easily convince.
No, you see, the thing is this. I think, don't forget, there was a time we had what you call this change mantra that you had in 2015. Mm-hmm. There was mass mobilization. It happened. And of course, with benefit of hindsight, we knew how it did, Okay, we have a call.
Let's see if we can just quickly take it. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. Please go straight ahead. What's your name?
My name is Shitta. I'm calling from Sango.
Please, you had less than a minute. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. You see, in response to the last caller, there was an election in Anambra. Fine. There are a lot of issues. You see, we can't be just talking on air without taking action. There are vote buying. People need to be orientated. A lot of people need to, take that position. You see, we will just be talking and be blaming and not taking action.
Mm-hmm.
So fine, that is that on that. Then the issue of insecurity, failure of government, but subnationals. We need to talk about that. Look at New York City. Only mayor. See the manifesto, see the JD.
Okay. Unfortunately,
our time is fast spent. Well, thank you very much for calling into the studio. Please, your closing statements in a few seconds.
This is the beginning of the week. Let's take vital lessons from what happened in the Anambra State election ahead of 2027.
All right, then. The views expressed is not in any way the position of FlowFM 92.7 or the staff therein, but is expressed by our in-house analyst, Nicholas Uwerunonye, and individuals who called and commented on the news stories this morning. I will be back to your ears tomorrow from 8 o'clock to 8:30, God willing. I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey.
And I am Adedayo Adeyemi. Thank you for joining us. Good morning.